Hello and welcome back to Valencia at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo, a famous venue, isn't it, in the World Grand Prix paddock and the JuniorGP paddock as well. Been on the calendar since 1999 and it really is a staple here in the JuniorGP paddock. 4 kilometres in length, 14 turns, 9 left, 5 right, plenty of action all the way around this course, plenty of overtaking opportunities, especially in the lower class. We've just seen in the Moto3 class, the JuniorGP class. Won't say any spoilers in case you've missed it and want to watch back, but it was a fantastic race. And next up is the Hawkers European Talent Cup opening race from Valencia, where Joel Esteban leads from the front row. There you can see, I think that was taken yesterday, but conditions are pretty much the exact same here on Sunday. Fantastic weather here in Valencia. Must be above 30 degrees now, Liam. Not really a cloud in sight. Nice temperatures for these riders, but if it gets a little bit too hot later on this afternoon, it's not going to be that. There you can see the Grazie Valley mural that was painted, of course, here at the end of last year when the Doctor completed his last stance. And here, the riders of the future will be hoping they can have somewhat of a repeat of the Doctor's career. If they get anywhere close to that, then they'll be doing very well indeed. But it was Joel Esteban who led from pole position, the number 78 rider, and it was utter domination for Joel Esteban. That was contact between Brian Ariarte and Alberto Ferrandez. Thankfully, both of them walked away from that unscathed. But yeah, the number 78 there, Joel Esteban, won race 1, and his teammate Dodo Boggio run race 2 there. And that was Max Martinez, the reigning ETC champion. He didn't manage to even complete a single lap in Estoril. 2 races for the Hawkers European Talent Cup guys and 2 high sides for Max Martinez. Thankfully he was A-OK, no injuries reported for Max Martinez, but 0 points for the reigning champion. But Joel Esteban, no such worries for him. 2 wins from 2, utter domination from Joel Esteban. A fantastic and perfect way to start his season. Some viewers won't enjoy that picture too much, will they? A gigantic spider.
Definitely getting the chills looking at that. That isn't a nightmare, that is on screen, but thankfully it won't be affecting any of the racing action here today. And we're having a look at some of the world famous Valencia oranges. I've had a few of them in my time, and I must admit they are some of the best in the world indeed. But here is your double race winner from Estoril, your championship leader, Joel Esteban. And well, he was untouchable last time out, taking the win en both races.
Ha sido una clasificación bastante difícil porque la verdad que hacía mucha calor, pero bueno, el tiempo lo hemos hecho en la primera, en la Q1, donde hacía un poquito más de fresquillo y se podía ir más a time attack. Y bueno, en la segunda quali he estado haciendo un buen ritmo de carrera, rodando en tiempos bastante similares, preparando la carrera de mañana. La estrategia desde el primer momento será escaparse y estaremos listos para que nos vengan los otros pilotos, porque viendo la clasificación estamos todos en un tiempo bastante parecido y bueno, ya listos ya para mañana y dar gas. Viendo las clasificaciones, cómo hemos acabado y todo, la verdad que sí, pero bueno, una carrera es muy larga y daremos el máximo para estar en el podium.
Two poles from 2 then for Joel Esteban, the number 78. His combined win advantage, Liam, over in Estoril was over 20 seconds. It was the definition of domination for Joel Esteban over in Estoril. Now, he doesn't have quite the same advantage in terms of lap times than he did over in Estoril, but 2 poles from 2, 2 wins from 2 over in Estoril. Joel Esteban is the one to beat early in this 2022 season in the Hawkers European Talent Cup.
He is indeed. He is on utter form right now, and as you said, combined times is over 20 seconds. He won race number 1 by 13.6 seconds, and then in race 2 it was only the little 7.1 seconds. So if they get anywhere close to
what was he doing in race 2?
I don't know, just cruising around, having
terrible.
A couple of cup of teas or something like that. Just wasn't really trying whatsoever. But yes, he's the one in form right now, and last year in Valencia race number 1, he faced a best of 5th, so he'll be looking to better that at this time round, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah, Joel Esteban then starting from pole really is one to watch. He's come out of the box flying in the Hawkers European Talent Cup in 2022. Now, starting from second, we just saw him there, is Brian Uriarte, the number 51. He had 2 DNFs in Estoril, so not the start of the season he would have been hoping for, because he was 4th overall in 2021 and actually won here in Valencia and secured 4 other podiums on top of that. So Brian Uriarte, fast rider in this Hawkers European Talent Cup grids. 7th qualifying in Estoril, starting from the middle of the front row here. It should be a good race for the number 51. We saw Cesar Perea there, the number 18. Now, he wasn't meant to start from row 1. He was meant to start at the beginning of row 2, but he starts from 3rd because Rico Salmela, the number 27 rider, was caught riding slowly in 5 sectors in qualifying, so he has a back of the grid start for race 1. So look out for Rico Salmela. We saw a couple of riders make their way impressively through the grids in the Junior GP race we've just seen. Can Rico Salmela do it again on the number 27? So look out for him. So Cesar Perea then starting from the outside of row 1.
Yeah, Rico Salmela, as you were saying, from the back of the grid. His pace this weekend shows that he could come through the field, but we will have to wait and see for that. In 4th spot, we've got Guido Pini, who finished 3rd in Estoril during race number 1, but just missed out on a double podium by only 0.04 of a second in race 2. So he'll be aiming for a double podium this time out. And you've just seen on the screen there, Alberto Ferrandez. Now, he had a bit of an up and down weekend in Estoril. Quick all weekend, but started race number 1 from the back of the grid. Came through the field, was in the battle for the podium spots before taking out Brian Uriarte with only a handful of laps remaining. So he'll be hoping to put that weekend to bed with a strong weekend today and strong race 1 and 2 later on.
Yeah, fast crash won it down at turn 1, hard on the anchors there into turn 1's right-hander in Estoril. Thankfully, we saw it looking back there at Estoril that both riders were okay. So yeah, Alberto Ferrandez, an experienced rider in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, starting from 5th place, the number 54, one to keep an eye on as well. Now, we just saw Maximo Martinez, the reigning champion, as we mentioned, double DNF in Estoril, both on lap 1 and both high sides, both of them nasty crashes. Thankfully to report, he was all okay. A little bit winded in that lap 1 crash at the end of the lap 1. But yeah, Max Martinez, not the start of the season he would have been hoping for, but starting from 6th on the grids. He's a race winner in Valencia in this class last year. Won race 1. I was commentating here with our colleague Fran Wilds, and he won race 1 to pretty much seal the deal in terms of the championship. So he knows how to win a race, does Max Martinez in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. As we take a look at the grid then, Esteban from Uriarte and Perea on row 1, Pini, Ferrandez and Martinez on row 2, Boggio, Irishman, Casey O'Gorman and Hakim Denish on row 3.
Now we've got Perez on row number 4 ahead of Al Saouti and Emmanuel Brinton. Watch out for those 3 on row number 4. Moodley is starting 13th ahead of Alcina and Garcia Miguel. Then further back on row number 7 we have Luciano, Daniel, the US rider, and Mario in 21st spot ahead of Ferrandez, Trias, Wojciechowski and Alguer ahead of Rosebrook and Salmela, as we already mentioned him, starting at further back. Now also on the back row of the grid, these riders had penalties as well for the same infringement as Salmela. We have Carter Thompson, also Guillaume Planquis and also Grillo Planquis running out the runners and riders for the start of race number 1 of the Hawkers European Talent Cup.
Yeah, 4 riders having misdemeanors, let's say, in qualifying yesterday. Had to start from the back of the grid for race 1. But yeah, as we mentioned, look out for Rico Salmela, the number 27. He qualified 3rd, so he has fantastic pace. So watch out for the number 27. Hopefully, for his sake, carving his way through the field and making his way up to the front. We saw a fantastic race in Junior GP race 1 to kick us off. Now time for race 1 in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, and I was going to say it's always a close battle at the front, but Joel Esteban ruined that for the neutral, let's say, last time out. Ruin it's the wrong word, I can't say ruin it. It was absolutely flawless performance of Joel Esteban, absolutely outstanding, and the riders will be hopefully not seeing him cruise off into the distance this time around. Like I mentioned, doesn't have quite the same pace advantage. He qualified on pole by 0.6 seconds over in Estoril, which in a class like this, well, in any class, 0.6 seconds is a hatful of time. especially in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Not quite the same advances this time around, but the Talent Cup riders have to be careful not to let Joel Esteban get into his rhythm, because as we saw in Estoril, once he gets out in front and he can get his head down, then it could be good night Vienna.
It could be indeed. But as you were saying, yes, only a smaller margin in qualifying this time round, with only, well, a few hundredths in it instead of a few tenths in it, the gap. So there could be a lot more difficult for Joel Esteban to break away at the front. Now we've got some riders just running off onto the edge of the track. There are many of them trialing out the long lap penalty loop now. Are they doing that because they expect to get a long lap penalty during the race? If you run on the green, as we said before, 3 trips out onto that green tarmac will give you a warning, and if you do it 5 times, you will be given a long lap penalty. So the riders make their way round to the grid for the start of their 17 laps Hawkers European Talent Cup. Race number 1 from Valencia, and there is your pole setter, your championship leader, your double race winner last time out. Can he make it 3 from 3 here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo?
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he did. Yeah, let's hope we don't see riders having to use a long lap penalty, but it's clever to just trial it out. We saw a few riders doing it yesterday in qualifying, didn't we? Round the edge of turns 10 and 11. The riders will pull up to their grid slots. The red flag will hopefully wave without any issues, and we will be underway here in Valencia for the second race of the day, the first race for these Hawkers European Talent Cup runners and riders. So, pulling up to the grid, there is Alberto Ferrandez. Looks all okay to me. So the red light, will be lit up in the top left hand of your screen. They'll go out and we are underway, and it's a fantastic start from Brian Uriarte from second on the grid. Leaves Joel Esteban behind. It looks like Uriarte is going to cruise down into turn 1 and take the whole shot. Is Esteban going to keep P2? That's Max Martinez coming up alongside him. Yes, he is. Joel Esteban takes P2. But what a start then for Brian Uriarte. The perfect launch, the perfect getaway for the number 51. But Esteban gets a great run out of turn 1 and he's going to go up the inside at turn 2. Fantastic from Joel Esteban. He now leads the way. Does he in wide? No, he doesn't. That's fantastic stuff then from Joel Esteban. Relinquish the lead off the line from Brian Uriarte, but takes the lead back with through turn 4. We're going to be through turn 5. It looks like everyone's through safely and soundly.
Well, there's a little bit of a gap already breaking away between Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte, with Max Martinez, your champion from 2021, slotting into 3rd spot. So he's already got a great start and a confidence building start, as he will hope to be completing a lap for the first time in 2022. But as we head towards the back end of the circuit, Brian Uriarte was just having a little look up the inside of Joel Esteban, and the good news is for all the fans around the circuit and for all the fans around the world, it looks like we might have a little bit of a race on already as the top 2 break away. So Joel Esteban isn't having all his own way at the moment. There's a bit of a gap back to Max Martino, and Guido Pini on the number 93 bike is just chasing the back of your champion from 2021. And Alberto Ferrandez is in 5th spot. So great start there from the Spaniard.
We saw Joel Esteban tapping the back of his rear seat unit, just saying to Brian Uriarte, stick behind me, mate. Let's try and break away in these early stages. And Uriarte did threaten a move down into turn 8, didn't he? But thought better of it. So lap 1 completed then. It's pole sitter Joel Esteban from second on the grid. Brian Uriarte, the number 51, just breaks out the slipstream, doesn't he? Down into turn 1 as Uriarte sticks behind Joel Esteban for now. I think they know, or Brian Uriarte knows that Joel Esteban has good pace. They've all got good pace here in the lead few. Max Martinez has latched onto the back into 3rd place, and that's the number 93 of Guido Pini in 4th place. So yeah, Joel Esteban leading these early stages. He's told Brian Uriarte to stick behind him. The number 51's doing as he's told for now. We see this so often in especially European Talent Cup and also the JuniorGP riders as well. Riders like to tap the back of his seat unit, but these guys are so young, they're so hungry, and most of the time they don't really listen to what the rider in front tells them. But it might be a good option now for Brian Uriarte as Joel Esteban runs wide there onto the green. So that's the first one ticked off for Joel Esteban. If he does 2 more, then he'll have a warning for exceeding track limits, but all okay so far.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be running out there for too much during this race, but as we watch A replay of the start. What a fantastic getaway from Brian Uriarte from second place on the grid. He just got it absolutely perfect as the lights went out. And there was a lot of bumping and boring further back, but everyone seemed to get away nice and safely. And another fantastic start, but also Max Martinez, the number 28, looking up the inside of your championship leader, Joel Esteban, into turn number 1, but slotting into third spot as they completed the end of that lap. Making their way around the further end of the circuit. Poetry in motion, that is, from the European Talent Cup riders. But it looks like there might be a bit of a gap that no one wants to see from Joel Esteban as they come across the line. It's 0.3 of a second, and that is, in European Talent Cup terms, absolutely gargantuan. As we've got a change of second spot, that is Max Martinez, your champion, who has now completed more than one racing lap in 2022, up to second.
Yeah, doing better than he did over in Estoril, but it wasn't too hard for that for the reigning Cup winner. Now then, yeah, Joel Esteban has a little bit of advantage now, so the riders do need to box clever. Max Martinez up in second place, the number 28. They've just got to be careful here, because if Joel Esteban starts stretching his advantage, like we say, he's got great pace as Esteban, as Gonzalo Perez, the fastest lap of the race. He crossed the line down in 8th place, so good stuff from Gonzalo Perez. He's just behind the number 67, of Casey O'Gorman, the Irishman. He's impressed this year in the Red Bull Rookies and in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. But that gap that Joel Esteban had over the line, Max Martinez has shrunk it. He's right on the tail now of Joel Esteban. So at the minute, Joel Esteban isn't stretching clear, but the riders need to try and ruffle his feathers a little bit, try and stop him from getting into this rhythm. But Max Martinez, Brian Uriarte doing a great job of that so far.
And further back, we have one of the offenders from qualifying already inside the points. For the Finnish fans, Rico Salmela is up to 14th spot, and he's only 3.5 seconds off the leader. So we can see plenty of more movements coming from the Finnish rider.
Here's a slow motion replay then at the end of lap 1. I think this is down into turn 1, a popular passing move with the riders dive out from the slipstream, hard on the anchors, down a few gears and tip it left into turn 1, the fast left-hander. We were watching just down there yesterday, weren't we, Liam? And we said just how quick these guys are able to break for a couple of seconds, clock down a couple of years and absolutely chuck it in. These corner speeds are ferocious for the European Talent Cup riders. So then a change of the lead. Max Martinez, the reigning champion in this class, the number 28, has taken the lead from Joel Esteban. Joel Esteban, is he going to go up the inside? He flirted with the idea, didn't he? But I don't think, as the camera pans out, he will be leading. No, he doesn't. So Joel Esteban then relinquishes the lead for the second time this race. Brian Uriarte is looking a little bit busy behind him as well.
Here we've got the fastest lap of the race from your man on screen, Casey O'Gorman, the Irishman with the Vision Track Racing Team. He is up into 5th spot and catching the leading group. He's the sole Vision Track Racing Team rider here this weekend, because his teammate Johnny Garness is over in the British Talent Cup competing there and doing very well. Oh, it was a bit of a moment there in the background. That was the number 18.
It was Alcina.
Yeah, it was Alcina. So that was a big moment there. Thankfully, he's still on the bike, but we've got a change for second there. And, well, movements coming around everywhere. And that's Brian Uriarte, who is not happy setting the third. He's going for second. And will he potentially be setting up a move for first? Not yet. But we've got a change. Yeah, he is indeed. He doesn't want any of that action. So a few laps ago, he was telling Brian Uriarte to sit behind him, and now that he's coming back past, he's not having any of it.
Tell you what, Casey O'Gorman's eyes are lighting up, aren't they, in 5th place. He's got a little bit of a gap to bridge there. Max Martinez running slightly wide. That's going to ruin his run around the crest at turn 13. Not too much time into turn 14. But yeah, Casey O'Gorman there bridging the gap into 5th place. He crashed out of race 2, didn't he, in Estoril after chasing Joel Esteban down in 2nd place. So Casey O'Gorman will be looking to make amends here, and he's doing a great job so far, the Irishman, the number 67. He has close affiliations with Shaky Byrne. The British fans, especially the British Superbike fans, will be familiar with Shaky Byrne, of course, the famous number 67. So another lap completed then. Max Martinez leads the way from Joel Esteban, Brian Uriarte and Guido Pini there, the number 93, stalking in 4th place as Salmela sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's now up into 12th as Rico Salmela, the Finnish rider, as Joel Esteban then retakes the lead. It's elbows out here early doors in the Hawkers European Talent Cup.
Yeah, I could just feel it starting to get a little bit more heated here in the front group as Brian Uriarte again comes up the inside of Max Martinez. So it's chopping and changing at every single turn, everywhere you look. There's so much going on all the way down the field. And also Rico Salmela, as Ellie just mentioned there, fastest lap of the race. He took chunks out of the leaders on that lap. It went from 3.4 seconds to 3 seconds, and now up to 12th spot. So he's thinking, penalty, what penalty? I'll just come through the field anyway, and it doesn't matter. He's keeping his cool, and he a bit of a moment there from Casey O'Gorman, a bit of a twitch on the rear end, but thankfully he's still up and okay and on the machine. So the top 6 at the moment are breaking away from the group behind them. So if Salmela wants to get himself involved in this group, he needs to get to the front of that second group and start bridging the gap.
Not too far off is he, Salmela. He's obviously setting the fastest lap of the race, so he's pushing on here early doors, and that's exactly what he's got to do. If you start from the back of the grid, you've got to go hell for leather in the opening couple of laps. Try and make your way to the front and then worry about maybe tyre degradation a little bit later on. We saw it in the race that's just gone. Again, no spoilers, but we saw a couple of riders come from the back of the grid into the lead group. So another lap completed then. It's Joel Esteban leading, but he's not breaking clear this time around. No repeat of Estoril so far for the double race winner in Portugal. Max Martinez looking at the inside at turn 1 and gets the job done. Fantastic move there for the number 28. I think he ran onto the green, so he's got to be a little bit careful, and because he ran wide, that allowed Brian Uriarte, the number 51, to dive straight back through. They've got to be careful not to squabble too much, because we know Joel Esteban, when he gets into his rhythm, he can break clear, but they're not allowing him to do that so far. Uriarte doing a good job. Casey O'Gorman up the inside of Guido Pini, the number 93. There's Dodo Boggio, second place finisher in Estoril, and he suffered a DNF in race 2. So Dodo Boggio in the hunt again on the Aspar Junior team bike for the podium. Just a quick check on Rico Salmela, still in 12th when they cross the line, 2.5 seconds away from the race lead. You can just see him there at the back of the group there, the second group chasing down these leaders. Another
new fastest lap from Rico Salmela on that one, so he went a 10th of a lap faster than he did the lap before. So he is coming. Cue the Jaws music, because the Finnish rider is not having any of it started from the back, and he will be closing on that second group. The question is, can he make it to the front of it pretty quickly to catch up with this leading group of what was 6 is now 7, with Dojo Boggio on the back of it. And Casey O'Gorman well in the mix for the British fans as well, so don't count out the Irishman from the Vision Track Racing team on number 67. As we're heading towards the final corner, do we have a move for third? No, we don't. I thought Max Martinez was having a look up the inside of Brian Uriarte, but he just set station for the time being as they tick off another lap. Now, the good thing is for the riders here, at this time in both Estoril races, Joel Esteban was up the road by about 5, 6, 7 seconds. This time round, as we've got a change to the lead, that's Max Martinez going from 3rd to 1st, with Brian Uriarte trying to fight back when he moved into 2nd as a fan out. 3 abreast coming into turn number 2, and we have Joel Esteban going back into 2nd. That is a great move there. So he went from 1st to 3rd, and then thought, no guys, I'm not having any of that. Went back up into 1st again, so it is as you were at the start of the lap.
He's not allowing anyone to overtake him and then get into a rhythm, is he? He's biting straight back. He's not being able to break clear, but he's doing a great job, is Joel Esteban, of not allowing any of his competitors to get comfortable in the race lead. We saw Nico Tirol hanging over the pit wall, doing a sort of, just continue what you're doing, mate. Get into your rhythm and just continue setting the laps. The second group there, led by Alberto Ferrandez in 7th place, of pretty much lost touch now. It's 2.2 seconds back to Alberto Ferrandez, and that's of course the group that Rico Salmela is in. He's up into 10th place now, but it's looking incredibly difficult for Rico Salmela to get up into the podium fight. As Casey O'Gorman then, fantastic move up into turn 11, settled up at turn 10, didn't he? Late on the brakes, dived up the inside, and now Casey O'Gorman, the number 67, is up into the podium places in 3rd place. Fantastic there up the inside of reigning champion Max Martinez.
He's already had 2 podiums in the Red Bull Rookies Cup so far in 2022. He'll be one to repeat that here in Valencia today. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping further back. One of the riders that was starting at the back of the grid, he moved up to 17th. Plankus has received a double long lap penalty already, so if it wasn't going bad already, it's gone from bad to worse for the French rider.
Joel Esteban running wide there at the final corner, 10 laps to go, so Joel Esteban has lost a few places. He's up the inside, back up into 3rd place, but a little bit of a mistake there from Joel Esteban, so Signs of cracks, maybe. It's pretty harsh to say, really, isn't it, Joel Esteban? It's very easy to make a mistake going down into turn 14. It's hard on the anchors, leaning left slightly. As we see a crash there for one of the Leopard riders. The bike's in the middle of the track, so hopefully that can get cleared.
That's Al Sauti that's gone down at the exit of the final corner. So Al Sauti down and out, but thankfully he's back up on his feet, trying to push the bike back into the pits. And here we are.
Oh, it's a mechanical problem.
Yeah, mechanical. A bit of smoke coming out of the back now. Could that be an issue? Oh no. Did it just seize up at the back? It looked like the rear tyre locked up a little bit.
I hope that's not any oil being spilled on the track.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed it's not. Fingers crossed it was just the rear tyre locking up, a mechanical issue. But good to see Al Sauti up and okay and wheeling his bike back into pit lane. So hopefully there's been no oil spilt. Back at the front, Uriarte leads from Joel Esteban. Sorry, no, it's Max Martinez, then Joel Esteban, then Guido Pini. Casio Gorman now in 5th place as Dodo Boggio just looks behind him, sees a little bit of a gap, the number 47 at the back of your screen there. So these riders, as we say, 2.5 seconds clear of the chasing pack, so if they just keep their heads down, box a little bit clever, they will be all right. So coming down across turn 13 into 14, Martinez looking up the inside there, nothing comes of it this time around. Oh, my heart in my mouth there as they cross the paint where Al Sauti crashed, but yeah, no such issue, so I think we're all good, so no need to worry down there. It was just a little bit of a mechanical issue for the Leopard rider, so all okay going down into turn 14 and getting it pinned up onto the front straight.
There's been a bit of a moment there for Dodo Boggio. He's now dropped off this leading group and dropped back into the chasing pack. So not sure what happened there, but he's now got Rico Salmela right on the back of the Italian rider. And, well, he's just set another new fastest lap of the race for the Finnish rider. He is on a charge. And he sees the top group just in front of him there, as you see the confirmation of the fastest lap flash up on screen there. So that was, well, 0.7 of a second faster than your race leader last time round.
He knows Boggio has got pace as well. Boggio, yeah, we didn't quite catch what happened to the number 47, but Salmela, the number 27, can just latch onto the back of Boggio, get their head down and bridge that 2-second advantage to the leaders. The leaders, with 8.5 laps to go, aren't going to start squabbling too much yet, but as we get late into the race, of course, that is going to change. So yeah, Salmela from the back of the grid, really not out of this fight yet. In 7th place, behind 6th place, Dodo Boggio. Now it's a lead group of 5. It's Casio Gorman, rinse and repeat from a couple of laps ago. He's up the inside of Guido Pini and into 4th place. So there's a crash in the background. I think that's Dodo Boggio that's gone down. That's unfortunate for the number 47. So, yeah, crashed down at turn 11. Didn't quite see what happened. Potential contact maybe. We're not sure. We'll have to get a replay. But hopefully he's okay. He's just on the floor. He is moving, which is good. But yeah, hopefully Dodo Boggio is okay after that one. Didn't quite see what happened. There'll be yellow flags down there for sure. Hopefully they can get Dodo Boggio up on his feet. And the bike cleared, just peering out of our commentary box window. We can just see over there. Yeah, Dodo Boggio still looks a little bit hurt on the ground. So hopefully we'll keep you updated on that. But back at the front, it's his teammate Joel Esteban. As the Aspar team look on, yeah, Joel Esteban leading the way again then from Max Martinez. Confirmation there, Dodo Boggio crash. Unfortunate for the number 47, a second DNF on the spin.
That really broke up the chasing group because Rico Salmela was a second slower than his fastest lap of the race that time round, trying to avoid the stricken rider of Dodo Boggio. So back at the front though, it's a group of 5 with 7 and a bit laps remaining.
Red flag, Liam,
yeah, we have a red flag out, so that's not good news. Yeah,
I'm just peering out the commentary window. I can see Boggio is still on the floor. The marshals were just signalling there just to get the red flags out, because obviously we do not want these riders at racing speed going around there, because that will be very dangerous indeed. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that Boggio is relatively okay. Hopefully he's just winded or something on the floor, but not good then. A red flag here in race 1 of the Hawkers European Talent Cup with 8 laps to go. So we've not quite reached 2/3 race distance, if my math serves me correct. We've definitely not. We were about halfway through. So the riders there just peeling round past Dodo Boggio.
Yeah, the riders. Well, as the riders make their way round to the pits, they will be coming past the scene of what happened to Dodo Boggio. Now, it's a good move that they've stopped the race so the riders aren't coming round at racing speeds, even under yellow flag conditions. Better to get the rider to safety, get him back to the medical centre if it needs to be there, and, well, we can get racing again for part number 2. Here we go.
Here's what happened then.
It's a little bit off screen, wasn't it? So
we just caught the aftermath of that. So we're not quite sure if there was contact, but yeah, it was Boggio having a heavy impact there with the ground. There's the Aspar team. Jorge Martinez Aspar looking on. There's Boggio then getting stretched away. We'll keep our fingers crossed, and of course we'll bring you an update when we can. We did see him moving, so that's first and foremost, that's the positive sign. Hopefully we get a rider is conscious coming up in our commentary box on our screens, and we'll of course relay that information when we get it. So we're going to get a short delay here. The fans turning out in force here in Valencia. Free entry for them. Plenty of friends and family, of course, for the, well, across all three classes, aren't they? Coming to watch on a glorious Sunday in Valencia. We've seen numerous World Championship riders. I saw Pedro Acosta this morning talking to David Alonso. We've seen Alonso Lopez. I've seen Fermin Aldeguer, I think. Yumi Sasaki. Plenty of riders coming here to support their friends, and of course some future Grand Prix stars. So Joel Esteban then, not quite the race, well, nowhere near the race we was able to use in Estoril, but that would have been hard to repeat because it was pretty much picture perfect from him in Estoril. But third place across the line on the last completed lap behind Brian Uriarte, the race leader, and Max Martinez. I think we'll have a quick restart procedure, so not the full restart procedure. We might get new race, yeah, we're just getting it pop up on our time screens. New race will be 5 laps. There's the Alberto Ferrandez fans, of course, lots of friends and family in the purple supporting Alberto Ferrandez. He crossed the line down in 8th place. There's Ethan Guevara and Daniel Holgado, the last 2 winners of the the Junior World Championship in 2020 for Ethan Guevara and 2021 for Daniel Holgado.
There's no better way to spend a weekend off than coming down to Valencia for the JuniorGP, as the sun is absolutely blazing down. I'm actually glad we're just sitting here in a commentary booth with some air conditioning, because when we were outside yesterday, I couldn't have hacked it for any longer than that. We forgot our sunscreen as well, so yeah, for us too, that was not good for us. But yes, as we have a bit of a delay here. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping for you before the next restart. Now, we won't have a complete reset, so we won't have the original grid. We will have the finishing order of the last completed lap that will make up part number 2 of the grid. So that will be Brian Uriarte, Max Martinez in second spot, and Joel Esteban rounding out the front row. Now, the good thing is, for the riders that did start at the back of the grid, so the likes of Rico Salmela, Carter Thompson and the likes, they get another bite of the cherry here, because they won't be starting at the back anymore. They've served their penalty, so they will be starting from where they crossed the line this time round. So for Rico Salmela, that is 7th spot, and Carter Thompson, that is just on the fringes of the points in 18th. So it's just basically a restart and go from there.
Yeah, it's a great point, of course. Salmela will be starting from the front of the 3rd row in 7th place. So yeah, he did the hard work trying to get his way up into first and foremost the points, but then into the top 10, well inside the top 10, Rico Salmela. So yeah, good point, Liam. Race to be restarted for 5 laps, pit lane to be open at 12:35. That is to be confirmed, but 12:35, 13 minutes away, pit lane to be reopened. That's to be confirmed. So a little bit of a delay here in Valencia. We can see out the commentary box window that the track is all clear. Yet to receive any information on Dodo Boggio, so we'll relay that, when we get it. But yeah, good point about the restart, Liam. Quick restart procedure. Salmela going from 7th for Uriarte, Martinez and Esteban on the front row. So it's going to be a 5-lap dash. It's going to be fascinating to see how the riders cope with this. 5 laps is, yeah, pretty much a sprint race, isn't it? So it's going to be fascinating to see Guido Pini go from 4th, O'Gorman going from 5th. In fact, if Boggio doesn't make the restart, which we don't think he will, then Salmela might even start on the 2nd row in 6th. So yeah, this is going to be fascinating for sure.
It will be all out to the walls for this second race. 5 laps, and as you said, that is basically a sprint. It's like club level racing, the 5-lap sprint, or well, even less than that. So if there were any riders holding back in the laps leading up to that red flag, just waiting for we get confirmation there on the graphic at the bottom, pit lane to reopen in, well, 10 minutes time now, or just just over 10 minutes time in 11 minutes. So 12:35 will be the pit lane reopening, and we will have a quick restart for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. And well, going into this next part of the race, I can't pick a winner because Joel Esteban could not break away like we saw him break away in Estoril, and he's in the mix. But the good thing is, it looks like that he can race with the best, and some riders, you have them, they're just very good at breaking away, time attack mode in races, but when it comes to a scrap, they cannot hold their own. But for Joel Esteban, it's good news for his fans that he can do that with the likes of Max Martinez, Brian Uriarte, Guido Pini and Casey O'Gorman, who are some of the most ferocious riders, it must be said, in the field.
Here's a look at then the reigning champion, Max Martinez, looking cool, calm and collected, isn't he? He knows how to win a race in Valencia and in this championship, of course, in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. He's made a good start to life as a Red Bull Rookies Cup rider as well. He's 4th overall there and actually won the last race they had over in Jerez. So yeah, Max Martinez, along with so many riders in the JuniorGP paddock, it's the JuniorGP World Championship for a reason. All these riders will be looking to move up to the World Championship stage sooner rather than later. Of course, some will have to take more time, of course, because they're obviously younger, and with the new rule changes in place, they've got to wait a little bit longer. But yeah, Max Martinez, one to look out for here, of course, and over in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, because he's a fascinating talent. Already got a championship under his belt. He'll be hoping to go for that again this year.
Yes, indeed. He's a race winner also in the Red Bull Rookies Cup so far in 2022. And well, we were a little bit worried that maybe after the results he had in Estoril, well, there weren't results. They were a double DNF at the end of lap number 1. That maybe it just might knock his confidence. But it seems like none of that's happened, and that's probably one of the perks of being so young, only 14 years of age. That well, when you bounce, you can get straight back up again and continue on as you were.
Yeah, they were massive crashes. Like they weren't. Well, there is such thing as a small crash. You never want to crash a motorcycle, of course. But high siding is the worst crash you can have. But yeah, he obviously got the tumble dry treatment at the final corner, and then a ferocious crash at the start of the second race as well. But yeah, thankfully for Max Martinez, he was able to walk away okay. Now there's a quartet of riders in the Monlau Racing Team Estrella Galicia Garage, all looking on. One of them was Brian Uriarte, who we think will be starting from pole position in about 10 minutes' time.
And then we also had Rico Salmela, part of that as well, and one of the other riders, Emmanuel Brinton, who was, well, on for a very good weekend so far this weekend, because he's been in the top 12 on every single session. Qualified in 12th spot, he was sitting there for much of the race, but before the red flag came out, he managed to get himself inside the top 10. So Emmanuel Brinton, he's been here for, well, a season and a little bit now, but at the end of 2021, he found himself in 4-point scoring rides, and he's, apart from race number 1 in Estoril, he then scored again with an 8th place in race number 2 to make it 5 out of the last 6 races. So he is someone that is really starting to find his feet now and come on form. So with results like this, it's just going to keep building his confidence up, and he's going to start pushing for even higher positions.
Yeah, Brinton is definitely one to watch for the British fans out there. There we get then quick restart procedure. Pit lane will open at 12:36 now. Not sure why there's an extra minute of delay, but there we go. For 60 seconds, 5 laps confirmed, grid positions based on standings at the end of lap 9. So yeah, we've got lap 9 up on our timing screen, so it will be Max Martinez then on pole, not Brian Uriarte, so they've just changed. So here we go then. Max Martinez on pole, number 28, from Joel Esteban in 2nd, and Brian Uriarte will now start from the outside of the front row in 3rd place. Guido Pini will start 4th, Casey O'Gorman 5th, and Rico Salmela from the back of the grid did the hard work, and now he gets to start from 6th place. So Rico Salmela is going for the race win, or at least a podium here. Okay, so just an amendment there. It will be 12:35. Pit lane open. What's the time now? So we've just got about 7 minutes left until pit lane opens, and then we'll be back underway for race 1 here. Yeah, going back to Emmanuel Brinton, he was finished in 8th place in Estoril, and that was his best finish in the European Talent Cup, because best of 12th last time out. He's scored that twice, and that was including here in Valencia, and he's going to be starting from 9th place outside of the 3rd row. So yeah, Emmanuel Brinton, another young British talent, doing really, really well in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, the number 43. So look out for him, for you British fans watching along at home, along with obviously Casey O'Gorman as well, the reigning British Talent Cup winner in 2021. Casey O'Gorman, yeah, he's a fascinating young talent coming from Ireland, raiding for Michael Averty's Vision Track Racing. A great setup for the 2022 is the Vision Track. Obviously, we see it in the Moto3 World Championship with Scott Ogden doing well and Josh Watley doing well as well, making good progress. And they're in this paddock as well in the Moto2 European Championship and, of course, in the British Talent Cup as well. So, thanks to the hard efforts of Michael Averty and everyone else involved, of course, Brits have got a nice little pathway that we've been missing for a few years now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Into the World Championship, and hopefully in the future as well into Moto2 and maybe even MotoGP. I spoke to Michael Averty at the Portimao test in Moto2 just before the season, and he said there is plans to hopefully get into the Moto2 World Championship at some point, obviously taking it step by step for now. They've got great foundations in place for British and Irish riders. So yeah, good times ahead for the likes of Casey O'Gorman and Emmanuel Brinton. They've got a nice little road to MotoGP going on. As the fans give us a wave, obviously seeing themselves on the big screen. Just umbrellas aren't there for the rain. They're keeping shade because temperatures are soaring here, up to 30 degrees. Like I say, Liam, I'm thankful we're in a air-conditioned commentary box. I think we need to turn up a little bit, actually, because it is a little bit warm in here.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit hot here in the comms box now. But yes, as you said, there's no rain in sight, which is a cracking day here in Valencia. And the umbrellas, yes, I mean, coming from Scotland myself, the only thing you need an umbrella for is the rain. So seeing it for sun, that's a little bit weird to me, a little bit alien indeed. But the fans out there are definitely enjoying the racing action today, and of course the sunshine as well. But as you said, lots of riders from the World Championship here, and not just watching from the sidelines, but lots of them are helping out these young riders as well to get a footstep into the World Championship in at some time as well. We've had, well, Izan Guevara and the Aspar junior team. He'll be helping out all the riders there, and also helping out and just be sort of an assistant in some way to the mentor, Nico Terol, who was a former 125 champion, who has been so good at finding young talent like Izan Guevara, who was the 2020 Junior GP champion, to just propel them into the junior or into the World Championship as well. So yeah, this is the breeding ground of future talent and big stars.
Yeah, it really is. It's great to see riders who have raced here in the past. Obviously, they know what it's like to race in this championship. They know how competitive it is, and they know how to make the jump and how to control races, how to win races, how to react well when you've maybe not run a race, you know, taking the disappointment well. Yeah, we've seen Pedro Acosta here, like we say, Daniel Holgado, Ethan Guevara, Alonso Lopez, all race winners in this Junior GP paddock in years gone by. So yeah, great to see them coming down to Valencia to support some of their friends, of course, some of their fellow competitors, and maybe some of their future rivals as well on track. But yeah, good to see them sharing their wisdom, because yeah, very easy for them to just have a weekend off, of course, and stay at home. Can't blame them for doing that, obviously.
No, not at all.
But yeah, good to see them making their way down here to the Junior GP paddock. The fans just walking along the outside. A nice little Joan Mir cap. Of course, he famously won his World Championship in 2020 at this very circuit. And there's the Grazie Valley sign we saw created at the end of 2021 when the Doctor completed his last stance. What a weekend that was.
And on the right-hand side, in the garage of the 50 Motorsport, you just saw Dan Linfoot, who's another ex-racer, or an ex-World Championship racer, who's also, as what Michael Laverty is doing, is helping young riders come through the stepping stones on the road to MotoGP. So it's not just Michael Laverty. There's lots of people out there that really are starting to push the young British talent through, with the likes of Casey O'Gorman, Emmanuel Brinton, and well, Johnny Garness and Carter Brown, who are not here this weekend. They've got other commitments in the British Talent Cup, but they're also with the Vision Track Racing team with Michael Laverty. So it's a fantastic setup that team has. Michael Laverty has put a shrewd crew together with the likes of Taylor McKenzie as well, who was also a former British champion and also an ex-World Championship rider in the 125s in 2011. So they know their stuff down there in the Vision Track Racing team and pushing lots of young British talent through. And as we can see, it's starting to pay off here with Casey O'Gorman, one of the standout riders here in the European Talent Cup.
Yeah, bumper day of action then here in Valencia. This is the second race of the day. We've got 3 more to come after this. The Moto2 European Championship will be up next after this. 5-lap dash for victory. And then we'll be back in action for JuniorGP, and then the Hawkers European Talent Cup riders will be back out for the final race of the day at 3 o'clock local time. So yeah, great day of action coming up in Valencia. Thanks for sticking with us if you've stuck around. Not long to go before the action will be underway. I think there's just a minute to go now. 12:34 local time, 12:35 the pit lane will be open, so the riders will be getting the refreshments on, having a quick chat with their team managers and everyone else alike. Some of them on their phone, messaging their friends. Of course, on social media, probably getting the latest. Of course, we're not the only motorcycle in action today. We've got the World Superbikes over in Estoril, where we were a couple of weeks ago. And we've, of course, got the British Superbikes as well. So a fantastic day. A perfect Sunday, really, if you're a motorcycle racing fan. Of course, no MotoGP, but we can't have everything, can we? So the Junior GP, the World Superbike and British Superbikes will have to do, but yeah, that's plenty enough for motorcycle racing fans. So the engines are fired up. Pit lane is now open as the clock ticks to 12:35 local time. So they'll complete this lap. They've got to make sure they're out of pit lane within the 60 seconds. If they don't make it out in 60 seconds, then unfortunately they'll have to start from pit lane. So yeah, they've got to make sure they get out quickly, complete this lap, regather their thoughts, regather their composure. They'll line up on the grids. They'll meet one of their mechanics for just about 10 seconds, maybe even less. Give the all okay. The mechanics will obviously disperse from the grid, and then we'll be underway for a warm-up lap. As we normally see, they'll complete the warm-up lap, get some temperature into their tyres, and then we'll be back underway for a 5-lap dash here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. So this is basically full gas the whole way. No need to worry about tyre management, because 5 laps is nothing really compared to the 17-lap race that we had previously.
Well, if you're Joel Esteban is full gas for the gas rider. Nice. So yeah, the number 78 there will be going from 3rd on the grid as we restart this race. But it'll be lots of frantic racing action with only 5 laps, as you said, Elliot, which is basically no time. You won't even have any time to think about what you're going to be doing out there on the circuit, what moves to make. It's just going to be get yourself into a good position as quick as you can, try and consolidate that. And if you're in the lead of the race, try and make sure that you can just hold up any rider that does try and overtake you. If they get in front of you, snap back as quick as possible, because if you start thinking about it before you know it's the end of the race.
I think tactics are pretty much out the window here, aren't they?
Oh, they are.
Over 17 laps, you can obviously get to the front and just try and manage the race, get into a rhythm, and not really have to think about pushing 100% for the whole race. But now this is just get to the front as soon as you can and just absolutely push like hell to try and win the race. So yeah, tactics out the window. This is going to be a fascinating battle for the race win and the podium. We had a lead group of 5, didn't we, before? I think it's going to be a little bit more than that this time around. 5 laps. Joel Esteban will be starting from 2nd on the grid after starting from pole earlier on today. He'll be hoping for a little bit of a better launch, because he relinquished the lead, didn't he, at the initial start. Brian Ariarte, the number 51, was the rider to get the whole shot. He will start from 3rd, and it will be Max Martinez, the number 28, the reigning champion, of course. He will be on pole position. So, 5 laps away. There's Guido Pini on the number 93 bike. Just meeting their mechanics. That's Alberto Ferrandez pulling up. Just running there to Max Martinez. Hopefully there's no issue with Max Martinez. Doesn't look like there is, no.
Maybe just forgot where he was supposed to go for the start. Yes.
Yeah, looks like he's all okay. So yeah, the mechanics will clear the grid. The marshal will also clear the grid. And then a warm-up lap will take place before we get underway for 5 laps. I can't wait for this one, Liam. This is going to be absolutely fascinating. Warm-up lap then begins.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you for some predictions, but I think that's absolutely impossible. It normally is in the European Talent Cup anyway, but when there's 5 laps, it's just going to be fascinating. Well,
you've put me on the spot now, Elliot, but if I have to go with someone, I'm going to have to go for Salmela. He's come from the back of the grid. Fastest lap after fastest lap in the first part of the race. It's so hard to bet against him. The only thing that we don't know is if he can keep his head in a tight battle for the win. But with the way he was coolly keeping his calm through the first part of the race, coming through the field, then he is my rider for this win. But then again, it is anyone's guess.
Yeah, I think any of the top 9 can probably win this race. We've got obviously Max Martinez on the front row, Joel Esteban, Brian Uriarte, we've got Guido Pini, we've got Casey O'Gorman. Yeah, this is going to be absolutely fascinating. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. Get comfy in your sofa because this is going to be a fantastic watch. Now, I've not got the timing screen currently up on our screen, so hopefully that sorts itself out. Let's take a look at the championship standings. Joel Esteban, 50 points for a maximum 50 so far, and if he can make that 75 out of a maximum 75, then what a start to this season he will have had. The riders, including Brian Uriarte there, number 51, he'll be hoping that isn't the case, and we won't have to wait long to find out what happens here. So this is the turn 13 crest. The riders will want to get a good run over that. Hard on the brakes down into turn 14. We've already seen the Moto3 Junior GP race go down to the final corner. And if I had a bottom dollar to spare, then I think I'd bet on seeing the same here as well.
As the riders make the way to the grid, there is your poleman, Max Martin, your reigning world champion. So the riders make the way to the starting grid. We have the official with the red flag just waiting for them all to get into place. There's going to be a 5-lap dash to the flag as we get underway in any moment now.
Final riders lining up on the grid. Hopefully no issues. Find their grid slots, and we will very, very shortly be underway for 5 laps in race 1 of the Hawkers European Talent Cup here in Valencia. Martinez from Joel Esteban, from Brian Uriarte on the front row. So here we go then. Red lights, keep your eyes peeled. They will go out very shortly, and we will be underway for the restart, and it's not a good start from Max Martinez from row 1, P1. Joel Esteban gets a good getaway from second, but it's Brian Uriarte again getting a great start from the outside of the front row, but Max Martinez gets a good run down into turn 1, but it's going to be Joel Esteban who takes the whole shot into turn 1. Does he run a little bit wide? He does. There's a few riders going off in the background there, but it's going to be Joel Esteban who holds P1 from P2 on the grid. Max Martinez backing it in there, getting a little bit close for comfort to Brian Uriarte. Brian Uriarte then gets up into second place, holds second place from third on the grid. Max Martinez slips to third. Joel Esteban up into first place, with Rico Salmela up into fourth place.
He's not holding back as Rico Salmela, as we've got Guido Pini now pushing his way up into fifth spot, running a little bit wide, but he makes it stick, so he's pushed Salmela back 1 place. And as we had in the first part of the race, the top 2 making a little bit of a gap. We've got someone running wide further back there.
Randes, I think.
Yeah, I think that was for Randes. But it's the top 2 as Uriarte had a little bit of a look into the left hand at the back, at the end of the back straight. Now can Max Martinez bridge the gap to the top 2, because they are just opening up a little bit of a gap with 4.5 laps remaining. Yes, you heard that right if you're just joining us. 4.5 laps remaining because it is a restarted race.
Joel Esteban leading them from Uriarte. Max Martinez just, allowing them to get a little bit of a gap, but I think that won't be too much of an issue for Max Martinez. He'll be able to get into the slipstream, especially down the front straight, the 0.8 kilometre long front straight, as Uriarte gets a nice run over turn 13. Doesn't have a move into turn 14, but yeah, you're right, Liam. Only 4 laps to go now. Joel Esteban leading the way. He got the start that he would have wanted from...
Max Martinez putting his hand up. There's some smoke coming out the back of his bike.
Yeah, he's got out of the way there as Max Martinez. That was a little bit scary there. Put his hand up, did the right thing, pulled across. Some sort of issue there for Max Martinez, the reigning champion, of course. He had 2 DNFs in Estoril, so let's hope that it's not a terminal thing for his bike. Max Martinez, will see him there running wide at turn 1, so maybe just missed a gear or something coming out of the final corner. I'm not sure, but he looks like he's got himself back up and running. He crossed the line in 7th. He's a little bit further down than that, and now that's just broken these 2 clear. Esteban from Uriarte, Salmela in 3rd place with Guido Pini, Casey Gorman, Alberto Fernandez there. Where's Max Martinez? I can't quite see him. Look out for the number 28, but yeah, some sort of issue there for Max Martinez. Drama then with 4 laps to go.
If Max Martinez had no bad luck, he'd have no luck at all in 2022 Hawker's European Talent Cup, because he just can't catch a break at all at the moment. But with 3.5 laps to go, it's the top 2 from the first part of the race that are the top 2 again. They are breaking away from 3rd place, but it's Salmela that's in 3rd, and we know how quick he was in the first part of the race. Fastest lap after fastest lap. Can he bridge the gap? It's a tall order with nearly a second of a gap to bridge, but anything can happen here today. Further back we have, well, the number 28 of Max Martinez. He looks like he's actually got going again, so it's not sure what the issue was. We're just going to see a replay of it here. So as he comes out the final corner, you'll see him put his hand up in a second. So maybe he did miss a gear, Elliot, but yeah, it looked like he was having some issues with the gearbox. Thankfully, had the frame of mind to move out of the way as all the other riders would come steaming past him, but...
Yeah, weird one, that.
Yeah, it was very weird. Very weird indeed.
The good news for Max Martinez is he has got up and running again. He is in 8th place, and he incidentally does have a track limits warning, so he's got to be a little bit careful. But yeah, strange one that for Max Martinez, but there he is with the white crash helmet, the number 28, just tagging on to the back of the 2nd group, as we now have a lead group of 4. Salmela and Pini have reeled in the race leaders of Esteban and Uriarte, so we've got a lead group of 4. Salmela setting the fastest lap of 1:42.408. That was a good half-second quicker than the leaders that time around, so Salmela doing excellently. Remember, he started race 1 from the back of the grid, and the red flag has enabled the number 27 after a fantastic start, fantastic initial race, to get up into the top 10. As Brian Uriarte takes a good look around and sees a face full of his teammate. So this is, with 3.5 laps to go, lead group of 4, I think we can say now. Joel Esteban, Uriarte, Salmela and Guido Pini. Casey O'Gorman is in 5th, just a little bit behind.
Yeah, it looks like the top 4 have got the pace to break away, and they have done. And the battle for 5th is really hotting up with O'Gorman, Fernandez, Emmanuel Brinton. So Emmanuel Brinton is on course at the moment for his best result in the European Talent Cup, because there's a group of 3 there, so he's right on the back of Fernandez and O'Gorman. Max Martinez hasn't been able to recuperate that lost time that he did lose about, well, nearly 2 laps ago now, after that strange issue that he had. Did we have removed? Oh, it was very close. Oh, he did. Oh, he pushed him wide. That's Joel Esteban going wide at the end of the lap at turn number 14, and Brian Uriarte was like, thank you very much. As the door opens up, he doesn't need no second invitation for that. With 2 laps to go, it's heating up, and Joel Esteban, with absolutely no thoughtful thinking, comes straight back up the inside to turn number 1 on Brian Uriarte. So that is some great racing there. But that's Salmela into 2nd spot as well, and another new fastest lap of the race. But Uriarte responds immediately as Joel Esteban comes, as Max Martinez, sorry, comes into the pits. So that's his race over there, but thankfully does have another bite of the chair later on today.
So yeah, mechanical issue then, it seems, for Max Martinez. Unfortunately, another DNF. That's 3 DNFs now. This one through no fault of his own. Looks like a mechanical issue for Max Martinez. The main thing is he's okay. There's another race to go later on today, but our attention to turn to the front. I thought Brian Uriarte was going to dive at the inside at the final corner. Thought better of it, but yeah, Joel Esteban just got a little bit out of shape on the front end. So all the chatter on the front end on the brakes, and that allowed Uriarte to go through. But yeah, Joel Esteban responded immediately. Salmela setting the fastest lap of the race. It really is now a 4-rider scrap for the victory between Esteban, Uriarte, Salmela, the number 27, and Guido Pini, the number 93. Emmanuel David Brinton David Emmanuel Brinton, the number 43, is now slipped back behind Casey O'Gorman and Alberto Fernandez in the battle for 5th place, and they've just lost touch. I think they're 1.5 seconds behind this lead quartet. Sorry. So with 2 laps to go, well, pretty much 1 lap to go now. 4 riders in it for victory. Who's it going to be?
That's anyone's guess right now with 1 lap to go. Joel Esteban leads him across the line to start the last lap with Brian Uriarte trying to get in the slipstream as they head down towards turn number 1. Emmanuel Brinton trying to slipstream past Casey O'Gorman in the background for 5th spot. But it's 4 Brits coming turn number 1. Whoa, who's it going to be? It's going to be one of the Monlau riders. It is Brian Uriarte who takes the lead from Joel Esteban. But Joel Esteban fights back immediately and retakes the lead with Salmela and Pini just sitting there. With a little bit of time to go, they can still pounce for the race win, but it's anyone's guess for the podium.
Turn 4 then, a popular passing move completed then for Joel Esteban. He holds the lead, just keeps it on the straight and narrow. You do not want to be touching the green on the last lap because it is an automatic 1-place drop. Here's turn 6. Brian Uriarte shaping up for a move, but not quite this time around. They'll go through the kink at turn 7. Turn 8 is a popular passing move. In the slipstream is Brian Uriarte of the number 78 of Joel Esteban. Is he going to make a move down into turn 8, late on the brakes? Yes, he is. Brian Uriarte up the inside. Joel Esteban runs him slightly wide, but keeps it up the inside. So it's Brian Uriarte then that leads the way, heading to the last couple of sectors here in Valencia.
Joel Esteban's looking for a way past. Is he going to be later on the brakes at turn 10? Yes, he is.
What a move.
Dives up the inside. That was a fantastic move from your championship leader. There's only a few little corners left to go, but Brian Uriarte fights back immediately. Elbow to elbow stuff. Pushes Joel Esteban out to the curb. There are only 2 corners to go through turn number 13. It's going to be a late dive on the brakes, you can guess, from Esteban. But Salmela's there as well. Is he going to make a move? And it's going to be Joel Esteban takes the lead. Uriarte pushed out wide by your teammate. That is Salmela.
Joel Esteban is going to win here, race 1 in Valencia. Fantastic ride. 3 from 3 for the number 78. And it's Brian Uriarte finishes 2nd, Rico Salmela finishes 3rd, and Guido Pini finishes 4th place just off the podium. Expertly done from Joel Esteban once again. 3 from 3 in 2022. What a race, 0.2 seconds splitting the top 4 in that 5-lap dash. But it is Joel Esteban, converts pole into victory once again.
That looks like a gargantuan gap, 0.2 of a second between Joel Esteban and Uriarte, but it was anything but in the last lap there. The lead must have swapped about 5 or 6 times there, but Joel Esteban, that is a clean sweep for 3 races. 3 out of 3 for Joel Esteban, and Brian Uriarte, great, just holding on to 2nd there from his teammate Salmela, who, not forgetting, came from the back of the grid in the first part of that race there. So amazing ride by the top 3 as they're all popping wheelies to celebrate.
Yeah, Brian Uriarte, of course, happy with 2nd place. He suffered 2 DNFs back in Estoril, so he has 20 points on the board. And this is where his season really starts then for the team. Estrella Galicia, Monlau Racing. Rico Salmela, Liam rightly said, started from the back of the grid, didn't he? After riding slowly in 5 sectors in qualifying, so he was forced to start from the back of the grid. The number 27 picked his way through in the early stages before the red flag. Started from the outside of row 2. Set a few fastest laps of the race, didn't he? And yeah, crossed the line in 3rd place. Just 0.030 seconds off his teammate. What a race then. We knew it would be, didn't we? 5-lap dash. Always exciting as Casey O'Gorman celebrates a 5th place finish. Good stuff from the Irishman. He beat Alberto Fernandez and Emmanuel Brinton in P6 and P7. Hakim Danish finished 8th with Jesus Rios and Gonzalo Perez completing the top 10 as Joel Esteban going to be starting to get used to this, isn't he? Pulling into Parc Ferme in front of the P1 sign, gets a nice tap on the back from Jorge Martinez Aspar there, and Nico Tirol, Gino Boisseau there as well. So it really is a full factory setup. We see that in the World Championship, of course, and they've all come to support their riders in the JuniorGP paddock. It's fantastic to see. And Joel Esteban is seriously impressing this season. He was 8th overall last year Only achieved 1 podium, but he's come out with the box flying. 3 wins from 3. Can anyone stop Joel Esteban in 2022? Brian Uriarte certainly did a good job of trying to do that here in Valencia race 1. Couldn't quite get a last lap move to stick, but it was a fantastic race from Brian Uriarte. As I say, bouncing back from disappointment in Estoril. And the good news for these riders is they get to do it all over again in just a couple of hours' time. Rico Salmela, the Finn, yeah. High fives all round for Rico Salmela, and absolutely understandable as well. And he's now served his back of the grid penalty. So in race 2, he will be able to start from 3rd place, the outside of the front row. So no need to do all the hard work he had to do in the initial race start for Rico Salmela. He'll start from 3rd place, next to teammate Brian Uriarte and Joel Esteban. Max Martinez unfortunately suffered a retirement there. As we get a look at the last lap, this was Brian Uriarte going down into turn 8, made that move stick. Joel Esteban there getting a little bit squirrely on just a little bit of the dirty line. And then here it is then. They go through turn 12, the right-hander, and then over the crest at turn 13. Joel Esteban getting a great run round the left-hander, the long left-hander, and then on the anchors, up the inside at turn 14. A fantastic move. Pretty much spot on for the number 78. Rico Salmela fancied a bit too on his teammate Brian Uriarte. The duo separated by absolutely nothing over the line, and talking of absolutely nothing, Guido Pini just missing out on a podium in 4th place. A fantastic effort from all 4 of those riders. Unfortunately, one of them couldn't finish on the podium, and that went to Guido Pini. Joel Esteban and the Aspar team, of course, celebrate. Team Estrella Galicia, boys and girls, enjoy another podium, a double podium with that. And of course, we'll be hearing from Joel Esteban. He's down in Pot Ferme with Liam.
Joel Esteban, that is 3 from 3 at the start of 2022. Congratulations.
Yes, I'm very happy. It was a very difficult race because it's in the group and a lot of riders go very fast, and I do a very good pace in the last laps for do a small group. And thanks to the team for the job this weekend, my sponsors and all the people support me.
And in your native Spanish as well?
Estoy muy contento, ha sido una carrera bastante difícil, porque bueno, ha habido 2 carreras, la bandera roja, y bueno, hemos estado liderando bastante. Las últimas vueltas he intentado marcar un buen ritmo para así hacer un grupo mucho más pequeño y tener más posibilidades de estar en el podium. Y bueno, el último adelantamiento, la verdad que no me lo esperaba, ha sido bastante agresivo y bueno, muy contento con la victoria. Dar las gracias al equipo por el trabajo hecho este fin de semana, a mis sponsors y a toda la gente que me apoya.
Very well done.
Thank you.
His highlights then from race 1 here in Valencia. It was Brian Uriarte that got the whole shot into turn 1, but pole sitter Joel Esteban, after not making a very good getaway as the lights went out, it didn't take long to get back into the lead at turn 2. A fierce battle at the front intensified. That's Casey O'Gorman diving up the inside at turn 11. Joel Esteban there making a rare error down at the final corner. That was Al Suti, unfortunately, crashing out, and this was the crash that brought out the red flags. Dodo Boggio saw him stretchered away. He was moving, so he was conscious, thankfully. Little bit of a delay, but then we were back underway for a 5-lap dash for victory. Joel Esteban and Brian Uriarte back at the front. Max Martinez we saw suffering a mechanical issue, and unfortunately for the reigning champion, just there, look, had the right presence of mind to just pull up to the side of the track. He did get going again for another couple of laps, but unfortunately something went wrong with his Honda machine, and the reigning champion suffered a DNF for the 3rd race in a row. There he is pulling into pit lane, the number 28. Better luck this afternoon in race 2, hopefully for Max Martinez. But back at the front, Joel Esteban led for a lot of it, but this was the last lap. Brian Uriarte down into turn 8, making a good move stick. He would hold it, not for long. A couple of corners, Joel Esteban made his move. Uriarte bit straight back, but then at the final corner, Joel Esteban made a move up the inside. Turn 14, we've seen that so often, haven't we? and he held it on the run to the line to make it 3 wins from 3. Uriarte and Salmela completed the podium, with Guido Pini finishing in 4th place. That was race 1 here in Valencia. Race 2 will be coming up this afternoon. We haven't got any confirmation from Dojo Boggio, sorry. But yeah, like we say, he was moving, he was conscious, so hopefully Boggio is okay, maybe just a bit winded, and hopefully we'll be seeing Boggio, the Estoril Race 1 podium finisher, back out for Race 2 in a couple of hours' time. Here's a replay then of the last lap coming out the final corner. Everyone trying desperately to get into the slipstream, get a great run to the line, and doesn't get much closer than that in the battle for the podium. Our timing screens actually show Salmela and Pini crossing the line with exactly the same time difference to the leader. Obviously, it's Salmela standing on the podium, so they've probably had to take it back a few more decimal points to work that one out, but that is as close as you get, unfortunately, for Guido Pini, the number 93, missing out on the podium. I think that is Ivan Ortola handing out some of the trophies. Yes, it is. Ivan Ortola finished 2nd in the 2021 Junior GP Moto3 Series last year. Of course, now Moto3 World Championship rider. Rico Salmela celebrating 3rd place. Fantastic from the Finnish rider, coming from the back of the grid. Brian Uriarte, 2nd place. Job well done. There is confirmation of Ivan Ortola, the runner-up last year, presenting the trophy. Joel Esteban adds to his collection another P1 trophy. That's 3 from 3 in 2022. The young Spaniard really is raising eyebrows here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup in the Aspar junior team ranks. We'll shortly be hearing the Spanish national anthem, and I think that'll come up right now.
Aplauso para ellos.
Congratulations all round for the top 3 and your championship leader and race 1 winner here at Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. As they spray, well, it won't be the bubbly, it'll be something else, just water maybe, because it was some hard work out there in the searing heat here in Valencia. Handshakes all round, fist bumps all round from the top 3, but they're going to be doing it all again later on today for race number 2. So here's your results from race number 1 here in Valencia for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. It was Joel Esteban taking the win, just ahead of Brian Uriarte, with Rico Salmela in 3rd. Guido Pini just missing out on a podium spot, with Casey O'Gorman riding at the top 5 ahead of Alberto Ferrandez. Emmanuel Brenton, his best result in the European Talent Cup, with 7th ahead of Hakim Danish. And then Jose Rios in 9th. Gonzalo Perez in 10th spot ahead of Rush Moodley in 11th, the South African rider ahead of Pau Alcina in 12th spot. Carter Thompson, who also came from the back of the grid in part number 1, he took the 13th spot ahead of Guilherme Planques. Further down the field, we have Jose Luis Armario in 18th place ahead of Benat Fernandez, and then Blai Trias in 20th spot. Then Pugliese, who also started from the back of the grid in 21st ahead of Demis Mahila in 22nd spot. And as we scroll through the rest of the order, it's Max Martinez, sorry about that, your 2021 European Talent Cup winner. Unfortunately retired with a mechanical issue at the end of the race when he was in the podium fight. So Here comes your championship order. Joel Esteban makes it 3 from 3 for a perfect 75 points ahead of Guido Pini. 33 points back already at this early stage of the championship, ahead of Hakim Danish. Rico Salmela, who got his second podium of the year, ahead of Casey O'Gorman. Ryan Uriarte in second. Dodo Boggio, who had a crash during the race. We hope he's okay. And then further back we have Gonzalo Perez in 10th. Emmanuel Brinton, consistent as always in 11th spot, ahead of Cesar Paria in 12th. And then Rush Moodley in 13th. Carter Thompson in 14th spot, ahead of Jesus Rios in 15th. Bly Trias in 16th. And then further down the order, we have the single-digit point scorers. That is Lorenz Tony Luciano in 7th, ahead of Marco Garcia Miguel. Jose Luis Armidio in 20th spots. And then as you see further down the list, we've got Johnny Garness, who's not here this weekend. He's got prior commitments to the British Talent Cup over at Donington National alongside the British Superbike Championship. So, as race 1 is complete here at Valencia, it is your championship leader, and 3 out of 3 for Joel Esteban. Will he be able to do it all over again for race number 2 coming up later on today?
Hello and welcome back to the Circuit Ricardo Tormo here in Valencia, Spain. A classic layout, of course. The traditional home of the finale of the MotoGP World Championship, and it's been with us in the Junior GP paddock ever since it opened back in 1999. A 4-kilometre layout, 9 left turns, 5 right turns, a nice 0.8 kilometre front straight for these guys to have a little bit of slipstream and a run down into turn 1. Plenty of overtaking moves, seeing some of them flash up there on your screen, most notably turns 1, turns 2, the final corner, of course, down into turn 8. And as I just dropped something on the floor, just collect that and pick that up, sorry mate. Beautiful skies, not a cloud in sight here in Valencia. I say not a cloud in sight, there's a few clouds ruining the picture a little bit, but we are all good to go here. Beautiful conditions, argue a little bit too warm for the riders. A lot of them have been saying this weekend the pace has been a little bit slower because of the heat creating a little bit of grease on the surface. It makes things a little bit slippery. We see it, don't we, that when the heat starts to rise a little bit too much, it gets to a certain point where it's a little bit too much and the lap times do drop. We saw it across qualifying yesterday. In the afternoon, no one really was able to improve their time from the morning. The morning was pretty much perfect. Mid-20s, lower track temperature. So the second qualifying session couldn't really be used as a proper qualifying session, could it? Of course, it is a qualifying session and the riders are going to be pushing. But especially for the Moto2 riders, with only one race today, the race coming up right now. A delay to proceedings after the red flag in in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. But here is a look back at what happened in Estoril, and it was Lukas Tulovic starting from pole position, and that was a very, very scary crash indeed for Tommaso Marcon for the middle of the second row. Thankfully, he was all okay. A few bruises, of course, and a bit beaten up, but he will be on the grid today, starting from 5th place again. Thankfully, all okay for Tommaso Marcon. That's Hector Garzo crashing out, the returnee, very experienced rider in this class. But it was all about Lukas Tulovic in race 1. Finally, a race winner in the Moto2 European Championship. And starting from pole again in race 2, we saw a little bit of drama on lap 1 at turn 1. That was Sam Wilford making a good start after his penalty in the first race. And unfortunately, it was red flagged race 2 because Sam Wilford suffered a very, very scary incident indeed. Fortunately for Sam, we wish him a get well soon. Lukas Tulovic going on to win the race. But yeah, Sam Wilford unfortunately crashing at turn 3. It was a terrifying crash. Thankfully, well,
Could have been much worse,
basically,
couldn't it?
it could have been much worse, yeah. It's the best it could have been, really. It was a proper whack into the wall. Tried to save a front end washout, and yeah, just one of them freak incidents, really. But of course, Sam not here this weekend. He's had surgery on his shoulder and his leg, and I think in his back as well, back in Barcelona. So Sam Wilford won't be racing here. For the British fans tuning in, we wish Sam Wilford a very get well soon indeed, and I'm sure we'll be seeing him at some point this year as he continues his recovery. But yeah, double race win for Lukas Tulovic. Pit lane will open in about 3 minutes time at 1:10 past 1 local time. We did have a red flag in the Hawkers European Talent Cup race, so that's